Good evening and welcome to the January 18th council meeting. If you'd please all stand, Councilperson Comstock will lead us in the flag salute.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you please join me in saluting our nation's flag? Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Karen. Our first item on the agenda this evening is a public hearing. Item number 1, 2021-2022 redistricting process. This item is to review, consider, and discuss the draft maps received by the city and provide direction to staff. First of all, I'd like to declare the public hearing open and then ask for a staff report from our assistant to the city manager, Jack Morgan, and our National Demographics Corporation gentleman, Jeff Simonetti.
All right, thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. So tonight we'll be conducting what is our third out of the 4 required public hearings for the city's redistricting process. Now, beyond the receive and file reports that staff has submitted over the past few months, I recognize it's been quite some time since we've revisited the redistricting process. So I'm going to provide just a brief background on how we've gotten to this point, and then I'll hand it over to Jeff Simonetti from National Demographics Corporation. Now, Jeff will go into more detail on the laws that are guiding this process, but in general, we have to abide by federal and state law. And with the state law, that means Assembly Bill 849 or the Fair Maps Act. And that really has guided all California cities that are going through this redistricting process. And that includes saying that we have to have public hearings at a fixed time, like we're doing right now, and also having 4 public hearings. Now, of those 4, we need to have 2 after draft maps have been created or received by the city. So that's the process we're in right now. Now, prior to tonight, as the council and public may recall, in July and September, we held 2 public hearings that really centered on 2 components, and that included just really providing an overview of the redistricting process, and in addition, discussing the criteria and the different components that have to do with our communities of interest and neighborhoods. And we identified those areas, and Jeff will have a map that details that, and it was also included in the staff report. Lastly, I also want to highlight that throughout this process and since September, we've had a very proactive outreach process. Not only have we been sending notices in English and Spanish to the Chino Champion, we also have been sending notices to a local Spanish-speaking newspaper. We have also been very active on our social media outlets, really encouraging the public to not only provide feedback, but to also participate and actually draw a map themselves and submit it to us, which we'll show tonight. We have also been consistently sending updates and notices to the Chino Faith-Based Collaborative, as well as the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce, so just reaching out to those groups so they can communicate with their members. And more recently, as I mentioned, 4 public hearings are required. We've already gone above and beyond that by holding an additional community workshop on December 8th that revisited the redistricting process, but also going over the public mapping tools. That was provided as a virtual event, so anyone could attend that if they couldn't make it, and that was also recorded, and it's been online since that meeting. So with our ongoing outreach efforts, as of today, we have received quite a few maps. And as I hand the report off to Jeff, Jeff will go into detail really the laws that are guiding this process. And of course, he'll also introduce the maps that we have received. So with that, I will hand it over to Jeff.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Jeff Simonetti. I'm with the National Demographics Corporation, and we appreciate the opportunity this evening to speak with you regarding the proposed draft maps that we have. And so tonight, the purpose of our hearing is to review the draft maps that have been submitted through the online mapping tool, as well as the maps that we put together. And we're looking for feedback from both the general public as well as the City Council on draft maps and if there are potential edits to particular maps that you would like to see. So we'll go through the presentation. I'll stop, ask if there are any particular questions from the council on the presentation, and then we'll switch over to our interactive map for each one of the draft maps that we have proposed and walk through those and again, seek feedback from both the council and the public regarding the maps. This evening, we have 7 total maps. So And we received 2 maps through the online mapping tool for District R, which are represented as draft maps 105 and 107. And we drew 5 draft maps of different iterations for the council's consideration. The maps, any of the 7 maps may be considered at tonight's public hearing for consideration as the final map. There are a couple of key points and areas of consideration for this evening. First of all, we can take a look at the demographics, and as part of the agenda packet, you'll see that we put together the demographic spreadsheets for both the total population statistics as well as the citizen voting age population statistics for each one of the maps by district. In addition, as Jack was mentioning earlier, the City Council specifically identified particular communities of interest that they may want to keep together for the purposes of the district's fair and effective representation. We'll go through those specifically and show which maps keep particular areas and communities of interest together and which ones keep them separated. But one of the most important pieces that we feel is that we get public input and feedback. You know, it's really up to the citizens as well as the City Council to give us feedback to say, should this area be kept together? Should this area be separated for its best representation? And that's what we're trying to get to this evening. So when we talk about redistricting rules and goals, this is an important slide, and we've put this in a couple of different presentations, but as Jack was mentioning, this is really sort of a guiding principle as to how we look at the redistricting process. And there are 3 sets of rules and goals that we follow in particular. So the first is the set of federal laws, and particularly pertaining to the Federal Voting Rights Act. It has 2 main components. So first, the districts have to have generally equal population, which means that there can be no greater deviation between the smallest district and the largest district can be no greater than 10%. That was the main reason why we had to go through the redistricting process in the first place, because your existing districts with the 2020 demographics were not population balanced. And through this, there can also be no racial gerrymandering. When we get to the California criteria for cities in the middle bucket, that is what Jack was referring to as Assembly Bill 849, which is with the Fair Maps Act, which was passed in 2019 and has passed since you guys went to districts. It creates rank-ordered criteria for the cities and has 4 important, and again, rank-ordered criteria. Each one of the districts have to be geographically contiguous. We talk specifically about the communities of interest, and those are the socioeconomic and geographic areas that should be kept together where practicable for the district's purpose of effective and fair representation. The districts have to have easily identifiable boundaries, and they have to be compact. So when we say compact, we mean that they do not bypass one group of people to get to a more distant group of people. On the right-hand side here, too, you'll see some of the other redistricting rules and goals. And one of the important ones that we may consider here this evening is reflecting potential future population growth. There are some areas of the city, as you know, particularly the Preserve and some of the southern ends of the city, where we know that there could be some significant future population growth. So as long as you keep that deviation within that 10% threshold, you may consider looking at that as a potential area of consideration. But those are, again, further down in terms of priority behind the federal laws and AB 849. One of the other important things, too, that we look at is where particular demographics are. And one of the important ones is looking at the Latino citizen voting age population, because there's the ability to create majority citizen voting age population districts within the city. Here's an overview between what the demographics, the 2020 census data, which is on the left, and when you went through districts in 2016, which used the 2010 census data. And again, as you can see, there are some pretty significant concentrations of Latino citizen voting age population in the downtown area, the western part of Chino, as well as in the southern area in the Preserve. Also, this is an important slide too, because there are some maps that keep the communities of interest together, and there are some that keep some of the communities of interest separate. So the map on the left-hand side here, you will see the existing district boundaries, but the communities of interest overlaid on top of those. So the city identified the north of State Route 60 agricultural community, downtown Chino, Park East, College Park, and the Preserve as communities of interest that, where practicable, should be kept together. There are some maps that were put together that keep all of those districts, or excuse me, all of those communities of interest together. And those are maps 103, 105, and 106. We'll go through those and we'll show the specifics of those in a moment. And the other ones keep some of those areas together and keep some of those separate. But there are 3 maps, again, 103, 105, and 106, that preserve all of those areas in a single district in their entirety. So tonight, with these considerations in mind, we'll be looking for the City Council and public to provide feedback to us regarding maps and which map or maps the public and City Council favor. And if there are particular maps that you would like to see either recommendations to amend or change, give us feedback on that so that when we get to the next council hearing, we can provide updated maps to you for further consideration. The final slide here, before we go into the draft maps, again, just walk through the next steps that we have. Again, we had the 2 public hearings on September 7th and 21st regarding the discussion on the communities of interest. We have 2 hearings to consider and select new voting district maps on January 18th and February 15th. And then at the March 1st hearing, we'll have the district ordinance introduction. So the district maps have to be passed by ordinance, which again requires 2 readings. So the first reading will be on March 1st. Second reading will be on March 15th. And remember that this process has to be completed by no later than April 17th of 2022 to be able to submit the map on time to the San Bernardino County Registrar of Voters for consideration in the November of 22 elections. So with that, I'll stop here, ask if there are any questions pertaining to the presentation, and if not, we will transition into an overview on the maps.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to ask if there's any questions from council before we move forward. Chris?
Yeah, the only question I have, and you probably went through this during your presentation, but once this is drafted in March, when's the next cycle of redistricting?
So that's a good question. It's every 10 years. So the next cycle will start in 2030. So 2031 will be the process where the next redistricting cycle takes place.
Mark, any questions? Karen?
Not right now.
Walt? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to ask a question so far? Yes, sir, please come up to the lectern. I do have your written request to speak, which I will call on you later for.
My question was to the staff, how many total maps were submitted as far as the redistricting process? How many drafts did you receive from the public?
So there were 7 total maps that we received, or that were processed, and 2 were population balanced, and the remainder of the maps that were submitted through District R were not population balanced. But we had 2 that were applicable to here that were population balanced that are included, and we'll make mention as to those.
Okay, that was my only question.
Any other questions? Okay, continue.
All right, so now we will transition over. Excuse me one moment while we do the technology transition here. Here we go. All right. Okay, so here, and again, this is on the redistricting website, so the general public can see these as well. Is my mouse showing up? Perfect. All right. So what we've done here is we've put the 7 maps that are population balanced and can be considered as is into what we call an interactive review map here. And what we'll do is
Excuse me, Jeff?
Yes.
Very quickly, refresh the public's memory on why we need population balanced, why we cannot consider maps that are not population balanced.
Very good question. So again, if you'll remember, when we walked through the redistricting rules and regulations, the most important and primary law that we have is the Federal Voting Rights Act. And one of the main tenets of the Federal Voting Rights Act states that the districts have to have what we call substantially equal population. And when we've gone through casework to say what is defined as substantially equal population, the districts can have no greater than 10% deviation. And what that means is the population of the smallest district to the largest district, the difference between those two as a percentage can be no greater than 10%. So that's driven by the Federal Voting Rights Act. And is the main, again, one of the main drivers as to why we had to go through the redistricting process, because your existing districts with the new demographics are not population balanced. So we'll go through these maps in order. So here you will see Plan 101, and what I think would probably make the most sense is let me go through each one of these maps. We'll just give a brief overview, and then we can, again, stop for questions and comments, and then ask if there are particular areas or maps that you would like to focus on. Okay, so. So here you'll see, again, for all of these maps, District 1 is the reddish color, District 2 is the bluish color, District 3 is green, and District 4 is purple. So for map 101, again, we have two districts to the north. We have this map, again, splits the downtown Chino, keeps the College Park together, but this map splits the preserve between districts 3 and 4. So we have, again, two northern districts, two southern districts, again, with both the downtown split and with the preserve split. Plan 102 here splits the districts slightly differently. And this map keeps the preserve and College Park together in one southern district. District 3, again, has a middle, keeps the sort of the middle of the city together. And then districts 1 and 2, the difference between map 101 and 102 is that this map keeps the eastern side of the city together, but splits the downtown, and then the remaining north and western portions of the city are in one district. So the downtown split in 102, but the preserve is kept together. Plan 103 is the first map that we'll see that show and keep all of the communities
Jeff,
of interest.
Hang on just a moment.
Yes.
I have a question from Councilman Flores.
Sure.
One thing I've noticed about the maps we have in front of us and these maps here is these here don't have the current districts. I think that'd be good for the public to see. Is there any way we can show what the current districts look like right now?
On these, on the maps as is through this, I cannot, but for the next hearing, I will make sure that we do that on the interactive review map. So for Plan 103, again here, this is the first map that we will show that keep all of the districts together, excuse me, the communities of interest together. So District 4 has both College Park and the Preserve together.
That's District 3.
I'm sorry, District 3. Lost my mouse here.
Mayor, if I may, in the agenda packet, if you look at these maps, they actually show the current, it's just this interacting map right here does not show it. But if people want to look at the agenda packet, it actually shows each of these maps plus the current district boundaries.
Okay.
But we'll make sure, and I noted that on the meeting on the 15th, we'll show that on the interactive portion.
Okay. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yes, okay, so District 3, again, keeps the preserve and College Park in one district. And then we have 3 sort of north-south districts in the top portion of the city. So here, again, District 2, it remains the eastern portion of the city. District 1 keeps the north of State Route 60 agricultural community as well as the downtown together. And then District 4 rounds out the western and northern portions of the city. For Plan 104, here again, keeps the 2 districts to the north essentially the same. But here, what we'll do is this splits, again, the preserve. So keeping the College Park and then the northern part of the preserve together. And then for District 4, we have the western portion of the city capturing, again, the southern portion of the preserve, again, and then up to the western side of the city. Plan 105 was a submission through District R. This, again, keeps all of the communities of interest together. So District 2, starting at the north, keeps all of the areas above State Route 60 together, and then the eastern portion of the city. District 1 captures the downtown. District 3, again, keeps College Park as well as the preserve together. And then District 4 keeps Park East together. Plan 106. The difference between this map and the other maps that keep all of the communities of interest together is that this keeps the eastern portion, as much of the eastern portion of the city together. So this captures, again, the areas north of State Route 60 in District 2. There's a downtown district for District 1 that, again, captures the downtown and then goes southeast. District 3 captures College Park as well as the preserve, and then there's a western district for District 4 that's split at the main areas where we split are Central Avenue and Monte Vista for Plan 106. And then finally, Plan 107 is the final District R submission that was population balanced. And for this one, this map keeps the preserve together in the southern district, but this map is slightly different than some of the other ones in that it keeps the preserve together, but keeps the downtown split. So we have a northern district, again, capturing the northern parts, again, north of State Route 60. The districts 1 and 4 are split essentially between Central Avenue, and then we have those 2 areas of the downtown, and then District 3 keeps College Park and the preserve together. So with that, that is the overview of the 7 maps that we received, and what we, again, would appreciate this evening is the feedback, and if you have particular questions or thoughts on the maps, as well as are there particular areas that you would like to either see edited or changed, and if there are areas that you'd like to focus in on particular maps.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Council comments. Who would like to start? Councilman Pocock?
Thank you. Thank you. I'd just like to ask one question on 107. Is the downtown district of interest completely together, or is it somewhat separated?
This is separated. So as you can see here, let me zoom in here. So yeah, you can see that we identified it splits part of the downtown. If you can see here, Central Avenue. So in the other maps where we keep the community of interest together, this portion would all be in one district. But yes, the way that we define the downtown, this splits part of it between two districts.
And just as a point of reference, for the downtown area, it's Monte Vista to the west, Benson Avenue to the east, Riverside to the north, and then Schaefer to the south. So it's that square of the downtown area.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments, Carl? Walt? Karen?
Mayor, I don't have any at this point.
Mark?
You know, I'm looking at, in the maps, I know some people are going to look at them and know that they've shifted quite a bit. But I think the initial time that we did our first maps for the districts, we didn't want to unseat anybody, so that's why they were so cut in and out throughout the city. Obviously, this makes them a little cleaner. I do like two representatives in the downtown area, only because that's really where our community that has that are a little more underserved, and I think it's always better to have two voices speaking for them. I was never really a big fan of keeping that together and losing what we currently have, because right now we currently have two representatives representing the downtown area, and I think that's ideal. Not to say that the whole council doesn't look and for the interest of the people in downtown, but it's just always better that you have two people that are subservient to that community, that obviously will fight for their for whatever they may need down there. I also do like the splitting of College Park, because if we look at the 10% difference, that's out of 21,000, I think is what the population looks like. The split currently right now. Then we're looking at 2,100 people, anything excess of 2,100 people, more in one district than the other is beyond that. And we already know that the preserve is going to grow substantially more than that, especially in 10 years. So the idea of splitting it between two districts, at least the population growth will be, at least for several years, be able to be withstood between two different districts, so that it doesn't surpass that 2,100 in one particular area. At least the growth will be a little bit more in line for when we go do the districts again, even though by the time we go to redo them, the population will be significantly
So
larger than.
which maps are the ones that you care for?
You know, I'm not even sure. I'm just making comments, so I'm not even sure what the numbers are. But I know there's at least two that split the preserve, and I know there's a couple that split the downtown area. So that's my only comments is obviously the College Park, I mean, not the College Park, the preserve, only because of the population growth that we already foresee that's going to happen. It's better to split that between two
107.
two districts, so that at least, let's say we go up 5 or 10 or 7,000, you know, we're now splitting 3,500 between the districts potentially, as opposed to one person getting 7,000 people in their district and being way beyond what the federal guidelines show. And then whichever ones you have that keep the downtown area, I like the split. I know somebody, I think it was one person that felt that it should be together with just one representative, but I don't think that's a good idea. I think keeping it separate, whatever district ends up picking them up, I think it's always better to have two representatives of that particular area to speak for them. That's my only comments at this point.
But isn't one of the guidelines keeping communities of interest together and not splitting them?
It is, but two points to that. It's up to the direction of the council and the general public as to how you want to define those communities of interest. And if there's the direction from the council and from the general public that it would be better serving the community by splitting those, that's something that you can give us feedback on and consider. And just in reference to the maps that you were looking at in terms of which ones split the preserve, maps 101 and 104 are the two maps that split the preserve.
And that's all my comments.
Okay. Chris?
I guess just some general thoughts. When you look at 101, if I'm looking at this correctly, the downtown area is split into 3 as opposed to 2. There's a few of these maps where the downtown area is split into 3. So I guess to Mayor Pro Tem's point, I mean, okay, having 2 representatives, maybe that's an idea, but is it worth talking as a council? Is it worth having the downtown area split in 3? Again, these are just some thoughts that I'm thinking of right now, because I'm not sure if 3 representatives in the downtown area is a good thing, a bad thing, I'm not sure. But it's just something, I guess, for the council and for the public to be aware of. But I look at 101, 102, let's see, map 104 is the only map that I see where it's split in 2. 105, there isn't a split. And I haven't gotten to 106 yet. And I haven't gotten to 107 yet, but just some general thoughts.
Okay. Karen, anything?
106 keeps all of the communities of interest together. 107 splits the downtown.
Yeah, and just as another point, so 103, 105, and 106, if we think of those communities of interest, those maps keep those all intact. They don't split any of our communities of interest, those 3 maps.
We received all of this information on Friday, and it's just difficult to take it and really analyze everything, at least for me. There's a lot of information. Like Chris pointed out, it's a little hard to see where the district is now compared to what the changes would be. The statistics, of course, are on a different page, and you have to keep flipping back and forth to see what the the variations are. I have general comments, but I'm not in a position tonight to give you any guidance. It's just too much information to absorb in just a couple of days. We're going to ask for public comment, but what I would really appreciate, and I'd like my colleagues' comments on this, is I would like a true working workshop where we can have these maps blown up and maybe on flip charts, with the statistics on the same big sheet, and maybe some points like this is split, this isn't split, maybe some the ability to look at them all and compare different information would certainly help me a lot. I'd welcome any comments from my colleagues. That would help you too. It would help me tremendously. Chris? Karen?
I don't have any objection to that.
Walt?
I do.
Agree.
Okay.
Thank you.
And that's something that we've done in other cities where you blow up the maps big. We can put the demographics on and you just use like the big mapping paper. And that's something we can.
And I think it would help the public too, those people who are in the audience to be able to visually see all of the options, and maybe that way, maybe there would be a process of elimination where obviously some of them are not going to be considered, and you kind of narrow it down, and then the pros and cons of each one. This is just a lot to absorb. And I know we would have to do this workshop quickly
Yeah.
because we're on a short time frame.
Yeah, we can certainly get that scheduled. And just as a point, we mentioned that April 17th deadline. The state has waived the 30-day waiting period after a second ordinance reading. So that does buy us more time, that when we do that second ordinance reading, it goes into effect immediately.
Okay.
So there is more time there.
Okay, comments from the audience? If you have any comments, please come up to the lectern. Come forward, please.
Hello, good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. Hello, my name is Greg Marquez, and I'm a Chino resident. My wife, Angie, and I moved to Chino 15 years ago and raised our 2 children here in the city. And since then, her brothers, aunt, and her cousin have also moved to our neighborhood in Crystal Lane. Just a little bit about myself. I'm a police officer, and I'm an adjunct college instructor. And in 2019, I had the privilege to be appointed onto the Community Services Commission here in Chino. Since I got involved in my community, I've learned so much, and I've gained such an appreciation for the hard work, innovativeness, and passion from the people who serve in our local government. Despite all the political and radical defund movements, Chino has remained strong in its vision and mission and remains a city I'm proud to live in. In the last year, I decided to become involved in my local government and began my campaign for the open seat in District 2 later on this year. Now, I understand the redistricting process is inevitable. I have tried to bring awareness about the redistricting process in my council campaign, but I know through experience it's very difficult to gather a statistically significant number of responses in a local inquiry and get people involved. Therefore, I understand these proposals presented to council are mainly sourced from city staff recommendations and from the contracted GIS companies assisting in the process. Since I reviewed the proposed maps and the potential changes, moving the Crystal Lane community out of District 2, I felt compelled to speak on this issue because it would prevent me from continuing with my aspirations to serve my community. It would also move the Crystal Lane neighborhoods and the neighborhoods between Fern and Mountain into District 3, into the College Park area. I am requesting council to consider modifying the current plans to keep Crystal Lane in District 2, which would most likely go into Draft Plan 103, I'm sorry. I would also like to know what other options I can share with my neighbors in District 2 to support 103 or any proposals including Crystal Lane or the neighborhoods between Mountain and Fern. Would a petition or contact with a council member representing 2 make a difference? Or could you provide any direction to get more people involved before the final decision is made? Thank you.
Greg, this isn't about one person running for council. It's about balancing our whole community moving forward for the next 10 years. So all of these districts are going to affect each of us in one way or another. And so it's not about just Crystal Lane or just about your neighborhood. It's about overall how we balance things and how we try to get the best representatives possible for our community. So, I mean, we've done the advertising. We can't just concentrate on one neighborhood. It's for our whole community.
No, I understand. I think a lot of people are concerned, especially the residents in the preserve and other parts of the city who may not have taken this as seriously as the neighborhood workshops. I attended the online workshop, and I didn't see very many people involved in that process, and there was only 7 maps submitted, and I don't think that's very significant at all. That's just my personal opinion.
Okay, well, thank you very much for
Thank
your
you.
input. Jack, which districts, current districts, are up for election in this November?
Yep, election, it's Districts 2 and 3.
Okay, when we adopt whatever map we end up adopting, if people were in 2 and are no longer in 2, that means they're going to have to wait 2 more years to vote for someone.
Right, yeah, so.
Same within 3.
Yep.
Or, of course, the inverse. If they weren't in 2 and now they are in 2, they're going to be able to elect someone in 2 years instead of 4 years. Jeff mentioned that the impact to people is supposed to be kept at a minimum. Is there any way at our workshop you can include information on how many people are going to be affected in the next election by the different map changes? Does that make sense? Do you understand?
Yeah, we
what I mean?
can, I can look into that, and what I can do is, when we have the, when we do the blow-ups, we can show the areas where the current districts are, so you can see where the lines move. So you can say, okay, these are the neighborhoods, or these are the areas that would shift between the election years, and that's something that we can point out at the workshop.
Okay, okay. Are there any other requests for a workshop? Any other information you wanted to see the current districts maybe overlaid, somehow shadowed on the new maps? Okay, is there any other information that council members are looking for? Karen, it looks like you're going to say something.
It's hard, Mayor, because you're right, we just got these on Friday, and you're looking at all this information, you're looking back and forth with the population. I guess just my general comment is this. I like the comments that some of my members of the council said tonight about, perhaps it's better of us to have an open workshop where you talk and say, hey, is it best, even some of these neighborhoods of interest, to have maybe 2 voices instead of 1? I think that's, there's merit to that. As well as but I also do like trying to keep, some of the neighborhoods contiguous. There's value in that, how certain neighborhoods and areas feel. But I'm in agreement with you, Mayor. I think that was a great statement, regardless of how these maps shake out. For not just us sitting up here on the dais, but for anybody that's interested in this in the future, this is about what's putting in place what's best for Chino for the next 10 years. Exactly. And for me, regardless of how these maps shake out, none of us really know what's going to happen, right? So however they shake out, it's up to us as a council, and we've talked about this before, to not look segregated by districts. We see the effects of that in other places, in Los Angeles, or even in Sacramento to some extent. For us to look to that and say, hey, regardless of how they shake out, it's up to us as a whole to see us functioning as one governing body, not by districts. That's always been an area of contention for me, and a point that I want to make to people. And I feel like if I wanted to run again in a few years, wherever this map is, that it's my job to get out there and do my job as a person who's is interested in serving this capacity, and see what the voters decide in the end. So from my former career, I always felt like I represented the whole city, and even as a member of this council right now, even though I'm technically districted, I feel like I represent everybody.
Well, and we do.
Right, exactly.
I am elected at large, but we're supposed to represent our whole community. I personally do not like districts because I think it forces division, especially when it comes to expenditures. Especially communities of our size or smaller, I think it's inappropriate. But that's what the law is. We have no choice, okay?
Right. Oh, I'm grateful for this council and the way that we approach it, Mayor. That's all I'd like to say.
Well, and I hope we always do. The other thing, I just thought of something that I would appreciate seeing at the workshop is our projected population growth in the next 10 years. Okay, on each of these maps, what we think we're going to see. Now, I know some things we can't predict, like our sphere of influence, things like that, because we don't know what we're going to be annexing and what we want. But we know that the preserve, we know there's a lot more growth that's going to be done there. College Park, I think, is almost, I think it's almost built out, but there might be some infill, again, based on our housing element that we just did. So maybe plus or minus some kind of number in there to see if we can see what the next 10 years will look like.
Okay. Yeah, I could definitely work with staff on that.
Yeah, and that's a good point to what you're saying, Mayor, because I think a large portion of our potential housing element is going to be located at the Institution of Men. So that would, again, put that back in just south of College Park.
Well, they're in District 4, because there was some infill areas well, it depends on what map you're looking at, but on the
It'd be on 3 still.
west side, yeah.
Yeah.
If I can't see Mount Baldy, I don't know where north is, it's horrible.
Yeah, that would be interesting, because I know we do have some potential sites on Edison that we're looking at, and some potential sites on Chino Hills Parkway.
Right, over on Ramona.
Right,
Yes.
so
There's quite a bit.
Yeah, so if you could get us those numbers so that we could see projectively what our housing element's gonna include as well as what the growth is gonna be.
I think that would all help. Okay, any last comments from council? No? Last comments from the audience? Yes, sir.
Well, Madam Mayor, City Council, yeah, I think another workshop would be great.
Name, please.
Huh?
Name.
Oh, I'm Steve Lewis. Yeah, but definitely like I'm looking at, I'm fumbling through all my maps and I see one and I like something in one and I don't like something in another thing, and like I almost need a table to sit out and, you know, kind of pick and choose a little different things. I think that'll be great. And then I guess maybe also another thing I was talking about on the map would maybe be where city council members are now, because are any of these maps with city council members in the same place? Or are they all broken up?
Some of them aren't. It depends. Like, we've lived in our house 42 years, and they have me flipping now between 1 and 2. I don't know
Right.
where I'll be.
Exactly. So I don't know if maybe that would be helpful for, obviously, because people are running for city council and stuff, so it
We
might.
really shouldn't be looking at that. We're supposed to be looking at what's best for the community going forward.
Right.
Even if it means 2 council members are in the same district, you know, and end up running off against each other. We're really not supposed to consider that. So I
Okay.
really don't want to highlight that.
Right. Okay, but yes, another workshop would be great if I would love to attend that.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Okay, then with that, I think I will close the public hearing and then ask that you give us some dates as soon as possible to have a workshop.
Yes, certainly, yep.
Okay, Fred, do we need to take any other official action?
I know, thank you, Mayor. I know that there were some specific directions. You may want to just have a motion to assure that those steps that were discussed by the council are included in the
Okay.
proposed follow-up.
Okay, then I would encourage a motion to set a workshop as soon as possible. Have the maps displayed in large form that has the statistics on each one that we can see instead of flipping back and forth. Show projected population growth.
I believe there was a question about showing the shifts in the boundaries.
Yeah, the overlay of the old districts compared to the new districts.
And
Anything
then
else?
the housing element.
Yeah, well, that's with the population growth, yeah, the possible housing element impacts. I think this is it.
We can include the communities of interest as well, just so it's very clear what's being divided.
Okay.
Yeah, one last item according to our notes is you wanted us to show the changes or the impacts to the number of individuals when you
Oh,
shift-
yes,
That are shifting
when
from
you
one.
shift
from the election,
from the existing to a new map.
yes, yes.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Councilman Flores makes the motion.
I'll second.
Makes the motion.
I'll second.
Councilman
Madam
Mayor
Mayor.
Pro Tem Lucio, a second.
Madam Mayor, I think we're going to have to do a voice vote because I can't vote
Yours isn't
electronically.
working. Angela, is our voting system not working?
I apologize for this item. Yeah, we don't have that capability.
Oh, okay.
But I'll go ahead and do a voice vote if that's acceptable.
Sure.
Councilmember Flores,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lucio,
Yes.
Councilmember Comstock,
Yes.
Councilmember Pocock,
Yes.
Mayor Ulloa.
Yes. Okay, the item passes unanimously. We're going to have a brief recess so staff can prepare for the ceremonial items. So we'll be back in just a few minutes. Okay, we will resume our council meeting. We have one item with a presentation, and that's the Business of the Month Award for January 2022. There seems to be a trend with businesses within the city of Chino who are awarded the Business of the Month. The individuals who begin these businesses were either born within the city of Chino or moved here and want to invest and give back to the city that they love. This family-owned business is no different, having been a part of the Chino community for over 50 years. For the month of January, we would like to recognize In-Kind Thrift as our Business of the Month. Will owners of In-Kind Thrift, Mitch and Irene Morris, please join me up in front? In-Kind Thrift is a family-owned, inclusive social enterprise where the customer is first. This Chino business offers a diverse selection of secondhand goods in a clean, friendly shopping environment. From In-Kind's inception, they have given back to those in Chino who need clothing and home furnishings by letting them shop the stores. They have worked with the school district's family outreach programs and have a strong relationship with the Chino Neighborhood House, where they provide clothing for their patrons and provide them with needed items and funds for their programs. In-Kind also works with local charities and charitable groups to provide fundraising options through donation drives. Being part of the community is important to In-Kind Thrift. Because of this, they buy and shop local whenever possible. They support Chino business by buying goods at local grocery stores and by using local service providers for things like signage, glass fabrication, marketing, auto repair, and dry cleaning. Let's congratulate In-Kind for providing a quality retail small business in the community, giving back to those in need within Chino, and for being our January 2022 Business of the Month recipient. We'd like you to please accept this plaque on behalf of the City Council, and it says, "Congratulations to In-Kind Thrift, January 2022 Chino Business of the Month. The City of Chino thanks you for being a part of the Chino community, and it's presented this day, January 18th, 2022. Who would like to speak?
He's always the talker.
He's the talker.
Yeah, thank you. I don't have a lot to say besides we're very happy to be part of the community. And it's always been a goal of ours to start a business where we can give back. And a lot of folks ask, why a thrift shop? And it's because it's a give and a get scenario. So it's totally community driven, and that's why we chose to do it. So Irene and I both come from kind of corporate backgrounds, and this is kind of my second career, and it's all based on community. So thank you, Chino, and we appreciate it. Thank you, Mayor.
Give our audience your address.
Oh, we're right here on Central Avenue at 12418 Central Avenue. Open 7 days a week, 10 to 6 during the week, 10 to 5 on the weekend. We accept donations. And also, if you have any programs, we do also have a foundation, and we're looking to start a micro grant program this year. So thank you.
So if people have something to donate, do they call first or just show up? Just stop by.
Or you can call. Either
Or
way.
call.
However you're comfortable.
What's your phone number?
We're at 951-335-0991.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for being the Business of the Month. Thank you very much. Thank you for all you do for the community. Thank you. Then if you operate or know of a business in the community that you would like to nominate for a future Business of the Month, please go to www.cityofchino.org/biz awards to make your nomination today. Thank you. I'd like to call on our city attorney to provide us with a report out of closed session.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. The City Council met in closed session and discussed all 3 items listed on the closed session agenda, beginning with item 1, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, the matter of Edward C. Acosta v. City of Chino. City Council was briefed by attorney Sarah Marticocha of the Atkinson Andelson firm. Following a discussion and by motion of Mayor Ulloa, seconded by Council Member Pocock, Carried 4-0 with Councilmember Comstock abstaining and not participating in the closed session room, as previously announced. So carried 4-0. The City Council agreed to settle this matter for $63,500 in exchange for a full and unconditional release of all claims and additional conditions imposed on plaintiff in a settlement agreement to be finalized under the authority of city manager and the attorney Marta Cocha. City Council also met on item 2, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation of Elise Brown v. County of San Bernardino and additional parties, including City of Chino. City Council received an update to the status of that litigation. No further reportable action was taken. And finally, the City Council met on the last item, conference with legal counsel, one item of anticipated litigation under the heading initiation of litigation. City Council received a briefing and no further reportable action was taken. That concludes the report out of closed session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. City Manager Ballantyne, are there any additions or revisions to the agenda?
Mayor, I have no changes to the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is public announcements. First, I'd like to give another reminder for folks to come out to the annual Run for Russ Memorial 5K Run and Community Walk on Saturday, February 5th at the Chino Civic Center, specifically located at 13250 Central Avenue. Check-in for the event is open from 6:45 to 7:45 a.m., with the 5K and walk starting at 8 o'clock in the morning. This event honors the life of Chino Police Officer Russ Miller, who was tragically struck and killed by a drunk driver in the line of duty on February 1st, 2000. Seems impossible that it was 22 years ago. Those interested in being a part of this outstanding event can register by visiting https://www.runforruss.com. Also, the city will be holding its Household Hazardous Waste Drop-Off event on Saturday, January 22nd at the City of Chino Public Works Services Yard located at 5050 Schaefer Avenue. It's from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. This event is for Chino residents and provides our community the chance to safely dispose of products containing chemicals, including but not limited to electronic waste, household-generated motor oil and oil filters, antifreeze and gasoline, auto and household batteries, tires on and off the rim. For any questions, please call 909-334-3472. Next on the agenda is public comments. This is the time and the place for the general public to address the council on issues that do not appear elsewhere. Our first written request to speak is Mr. David Bustamante from Calvary Chapel, Chino Valley. He's going to lead us in an invocation, so I invite all of those who would like to participate to please stand.
Madam Mayor and council members, thank you very much. The word says that if anyone lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives generously to all without reproach, and it will be given to him. As a community, we understand that you're regularly faced with difficult and important decisions that sometimes can weigh heavily upon you, like redistricting and maps. And so we're honored as a community to be able to lift you in prayer. So let's pray. Father, we just come before you this evening to ask for wisdom for our city council and their staff. Make them as wise as serpents and gentle as doves. We pray for a wisdom that'll make their faces shine as light in a dark world, and pray that you would guide them in truth. Give them the ability to order their affairs on behalf of the city and its many residents with discretion, and to ponder the way that is blameless and walk with integrity of heart. And we ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
David. Next written request to speak is Mr. Chuck Nault.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My wife and I moved to Chino in 1987, and The house was, well, it needed a lot of repair, a lot of dressing up, and I've been doing it for years. I'm also the one that called me the snowman because I got a dope area out in front that everybody enjoys so much, and I do too. And I hope you always come back and look at him at Christmas time. But what I've come here about is to ask for a special variance, I guess you call it, in building codes. I found out that my best friend of 70 years is in Alaska, in a home, and they're literally killing him there. He has no exercise. They don't do anything for him. He's got sores all over his body, and he recently caught the owner's daughter stealing his money from the home in which he's lived in for 39 years. And because he caught her and complained, they evicted him. 39 years he's lived there. Well, and because they can't let him go right now because they discovered that he has blood clots in his legs. He only thought he had one, thought he was taking medicine for it, but they weren't giving it to him. Now they have to. They can't put him on a plane until he gets rid of them. Now he's got 8 of them instead of 1. I feel if he stays there any longer, they're going to kill him. He has had absolutely no physical exercise for the last 4 years that I know of. And I got a pool in my backyard. And I told him, I won't say it the exact same way. I said, I'm going to work your tuchus off. You're going to work out in my pool, and you're going to lose a lot of weight. He got to 500 pounds. He's down to 350. That's a workable weight. He's 6'4". But if he doesn't get exercise in the right place, in the right time, you know your heart's a muscle, and you're going to die. And I'm not going to let my friend die like that. So I'm asking for special permission to build a bedroom in one half of my garage. I'll draw up the plans and get them approved, whatever I got to do. But I got to have them back here, not there. And I can only do that with your help.
Well, Mr. Nault, I'm going to ask our staff to get with you and help you because especially now with our new state edict on building, you can convert a garage to a living space. So please provide your information to our city clerk and staff will get with you and we'll see what we can do to help you expedite this.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
My heart goes out to all of you. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for coming this evening. One more written request to speak, Mr. Dresden Rose. I'd like to call him forward and ask him to explain to the public why he's here.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and fellow council members. My name is Dresden Rose. I'm here with Troop 202. I'm with Troop 202 here in Chino. I'm attending tonight's meeting to help fulfill a requirement for my citizenship in the Community Merit Badge. Thank you.
Well, Dresden, thank you very much for being here this evening, and I hope it's a learning experience for you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Good job.
Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to address the council on any item that's not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, then we'll move on to the consent calendar. We have items 1 through 7. Do any council members wish to have any items pulled? Then I would entertain a motion and a second for approval. Motion from Mayor Pro Tem Lucio, second from Councilman Flores. Consent calendar passes unanimously. Next, under new business, item number 8, award of contract for project number SW220 sewer line Reline FY 2021-22 at various locations. Staff report this evening will be provided by our CIP engineering manager, Maria Frazier. This is to award a contract to Sancon Technologies Incorporated Huntington Beach in the amount of $1,061,750 for project number SW220. Maria.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members, and audience. The project for your consideration tonight is a sewer relining project that is a part of our 5-year CIP list, program projects. Staff conducts televised inspections on the city's sewer infrastructure on a regular basis. These videos are then reviewed and the pipe conditions are evaluated. Based on the findings, a priority list is developed. And based on this list and estimated cost and budget available, staff basically puts together a package to advertise for rehabilitation. So this fiscal year includes the projects that you see in front of yourself. And the method that we use for rehabilitation of these pipes is what we call in the industry cure-in-place pipe, which is basically the installation of plastic pipe or resin that is tightly formed to the pipe, and then it's cured via different methods. Sometimes it can be hot pressure or under hydrostatic pressure or steam pressure. So staff compiled the projects for this fiscal year, put a package together, and issue an invitation for bids on December 14th. We have planted bids in local for what we call Project SW220. On January 4th, the city received 5 bids. The results are summarized on your staff report. And Stancon Technologies, Inc. of Huntington Beach was deemed the lowest and most responsive bidder with a bid amount of $1,061,750,000. The project is estimated to be completed sometime mid-August. So I wanted to show a little bit of a before I end my report, the difference between a sewer that hasn't been relined and has been considered to need rehabilitation on your left. And on your right, you'll see the sewer, and it's not the same location, of course, but I just wanted to see what the finished product typically looks like. The typical project process kind of relining is kind of identified in this very, very basic slide. And this is what we do to be able to rehab our sewers. Now, going back to this, I think you have probably noticed that we have like a cluster of sewer relining areas on the east side, and then we have like smaller sections on the west. The east side area was basically based on that priority list that I mentioned earlier, and the projects on the west area are projects that were recommended by our master plan of sewer that they needed to be rehabilitated. The staff is therefore recommending that the council approves the staff report with the recommendations indicated, and that concludes my report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Maria. Any questions of staff on this item? Mark?
And looking at this, so we're going to have to redo all the piping that's off of San Antonio?
San Antonio.
South of Edison off of San Antonio?
South of Schaefer.
We probably found that it has in need of rehabilitation. So what happens is the gases from the sewer kind of start eating up the pipe from the inside. So staff has determined that these areas need rehabilitation. And the most cost-effective way to do it, instead of replacing the entire system, of course, is to do a sewer reline.
How old are those pipes?
You know, I do not have that information with me, but I'll be glad to find out and get back to you.
And how long do they normally last?
A sewer reline, I don't know the life of the actual product, but a lot longer than the pipe. But the materials that we do have now, because they don't get corrosive fumes, they don't affect as much the lining as they would affect the VCP pipe or RCP pipe.
So that's the yellow stuff that they normally put
Yes.
inside the pipe? Okay.
And if you guys are interested in the process, I can send you a little clip of how it's done.
No, I saw it I went to the IUA last week. I saw what they were doing over there. I was just,
It's pretty interesting.
Any other council questions or comments?
No.
Okay, seeing none. Any comments from the public? Okay, seeing none, then I would entertain a motion in a second. Motion from Councilman Pocock, second from Councilperson Comstock. Item passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda is the mayor and council reports. For me, on Wednesday, January 5th, I attended the Omnitrans and San Bernardino County Transportation Authority Board of Director meeting. On Thursday, January 6th, I virtually attended the Water Facilities Authority Technical Advisory Committee. Friday, January 7th, attended the senior birthday celebration with a couple of other council members. Monday, January 10th, and Wednesday, January 12th, Councilman Pocock and I conducted 13 interviews for 3 vacancies in the Planning Commission. And those seats will be announced probably at the next city council meeting. We interviewed some excellent candidates. I was very, very excited that we had the interest that we did from our community. It shows that there's a lot of interest in caring on behalf of the community, and that's very, very important. On Thursday, January 13th, I virtually attended the Water Facilities Authority Finance Committee and the Appropriative Pool meeting and the Appropriative Pool confidential session. Mayor Pro Tem Lucio.
yes, mine's going to be pretty short. I ended up getting COVID towards the end of the last council meeting, a couple days after that, so I really didn't attend very much. I did, on the 11th, attend a meeting with City Manager Matt Valentine. On the 11th, I also attended the retirement ceremony of Amelia Morrow Barone. It was well attended, and it's good to see that the retired personnel still come back. You know, I think I was talking to one gentleman, he had been retired, I think, from either the late 70s, early 80s, and he was still coming back, still lives in Chino.
Which one was it? Do you remember?
I forgot what his name was, but he lives in Chino, still comes back, and I mean, it was great to see him. He you know, it's good to see that they still come out because, you know, a lot of people forget about the retirees, and at least this police department seems to always invite them. They have an open door to come back, and that's good to see because they put a lot of time and effort into this organization, and then to always be able to be welcomed, it's a good thing. On the 11th, I also attended the tour of the IUA. They have a big expansion project going on, hundreds of millions of dollars that they got in there. And it just, the expansion that they have going on and the way that they're putting in these pipes, and they don't use, obviously, the old way where they used to use explosives and make holes and put pipes in. They don't do that anymore. They systematically lower these huge pipes in and then move them with water and just pressure, and they're putting in several miles of these pipes. But it's amazing to see that all our water is 100% recycled. I didn't know that, but they showed us the process, and it's not a process that it's easy to look at, but obviously it's something that we need. They also explained to me one of the things I never really understood was where we capture all this water. So they gave me a tutorial of, you know, the water. We have it all underground. It's from Pomona all the way down into Fontana, and that's 150 feet underground, and the process that we use to try to bring that water up. So it was a good tour. Obviously, if you guys have the opportunity to go and look at it, it's amazing the things that they're doing there, and the amount of work that they're doing. And it's exciting. It's exciting to see the new technology that's going in. And those guys, one thing about them, they're very passionate about it. So my hat's off to Steve Ely. He's the new president there. But it was a great tour. And it's good to see that this basin, at least the city of Chino, we have a large water supply that we're fortunate to have that other communities are not fortunate to have. But other than that, I have nothing else. You know, the COVID went through our family. Luckily, we were some of the lucky folks that it didn't really affect that bad. I think my son was probably the worst one, had a very high fever, but he's out of the woods, and everybody else seems to be recovering. So if you're out there, you know, make sure you guys do protect yourselves as much as you can, and obviously take care of your kids, because my little ones were, they caught it, they're susceptible to it. And, you know, we obviously had to quarantine one of them and send them away for 8 days, which was very, very hard, especially when they're little like that. But, you know, we wanted to make sure that we protected them as much as we could. So for everybody out there, just protect yourselves, make sure you wash your hands, and do all the precautions that you need to do to stay safe. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Comstock.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a short report as well tonight. I attended office hours on the 5th. I also attended the office hours in the preserve on the 13th of this month. It was pretty well attended down in the preserve. Staff did a great job down there talking about some of the circulation projects we just passed in one of our last council meetings. So there was some good information to share down there. We're still working on getting Kimball Avenue open, but the city manager and staff assures me we're working diligently at that, you know, to deliver a timeline on that, so that's going to be good. You know, in spite of some of the setbacks that we had some things in hand to take to the residents down there, so that was nice. I did spend a lot of time in my other office this past week because of rain, and I played tennis. It's one of my passions outside of the council. I spent a lot of time doing some rain makeups the past 2 weeks. So I apologize if I was a little short in a couple areas, Mayor, this last week, but I had a commitment to some team members. And I did pretty good. I went 2 for 2 one week and 2 for 3 another week, so not too shabby.
Congratulations.
Of course, I celebrated the holiday of Dr. Martin Luther King. As you know, a few years ago, as a city, we decided to adopt that as a holiday. You know, Dr. King inspired a lot of people. He's still inspiring people today, and you know, just thankful for his contributions. And you know, just also very nice to see the city, you know, recognizing that as a holiday now moving forward. And then tonight, of course, Mayor, I attended the attorney interviews with you in closed session, so that was a productive meeting as well. And then, Mark, I have been on the IEUA tour. And that is a phenomenal operation, but it makes you think twice about a few things. So I'm grateful that we try and track every drop and every ounce of water, because it is a precious commodity. But yeah, it makes you change your mind about a few things when you go down there and see it. So, and with that, I am you know, grateful. I like a lot of other people know a lot of people right now who've been homesick with COVID, including some of my own family members. Pleased to stay well, stay safe. Grateful to see the city distributing the at-home testing kits. I know that we're out right now, but we're going to be getting some more. And if you don't have one, you know, maybe reach out to some of your neighbors or so. They may have a spare, especially if they pick them up at City Hall. But I do understand we're supposed to be getting another shipment in here. So if you need some, and I happen to have a spare, if somebody really does get desperate, just let me know. In fact, I took one over to my fellow council member here when he was falling short of them. So I'm almost out, but if you need it, I'll give it up. So,
Great.
All right, that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Karen. And you're right about, both of you are right about the tour of IUA. It is fascinating, and I think they do have public tours as well. I attend a lot of the water meetings, and we are on the verge of some very, very difficult times. If we don't get more rain and snowpack, the state is talking about implementing some very, very strict regulations. If my numbers are correct, I think we average, when you look at outdoor watering, laundry, everything that we do, showering, all of that, we average about 171 gallons per person per day. If we don't get an increase in our reservoirs, they're going to cut us back to 55 gallons a day per person and no outdoor watering. So we all need to really conserve now. They have bow waved the possible deadline for this very, very strict enforcement, I think, till about April or May now. If we conserve and do a good job of it, they might be able to push it out farther. And then, of course, we hope for more rain and snowpack. So it's very serious, but IUA is doing an excellent job, as is Watermaster and all of the rest of the parties in the Chino Groundwater Basin. Councilman Flores, you have item number 9, community support contributions.
Hi, yes, I guess I'm asking the council to approve a community support contribution in the amount of $500 to our local Boy Scouts Troop 205. This February 26th, they have a blue and gold banquet. I've never attended, but I've been invited, and, well, I'd like your support on this.
Okay, then I would ask for a motion in a second. There's a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Lucio, second from Councilman Pocock. And Chris, your item passes unanimously. Rest of your report?
Oh, thank you. Let's see, on, Okay, on the 13th of January, I attended we had an economic development committee. There we talked about some possible land use amendments. Some of those items have been, have passed through our planning commission, so we will be seeing some of those items here on, for the council in the near future. On that same day, I attended the office hours at the Preserve. It was I think it was a good night. A few residents came out, and a lot of concerns, but there's also a lot of information that was provided, so just want to say good job to our staff. And other than that, I just have just 2 comments to the 2 individuals who spoke today. Thank you guys for coming out. Dresden, I think you did a phenomenal job. You mentioned that you were a little nervous. I got to tell you, I mean, a year into this, I'm still kind of nervous up here too, so don't worry about it. You're the future of Chino, man. All right. But with that being said, that concludes my comments.
Okay, Chris, thanks. Councilman Pocock.
Thank you. On the 7th, I attended the senior birthday party with the mayor. I always like going there because I fit right in. And on the 10th and the 12th, with the mayor, we interviewed 13 applications for the Planning Commission vacancies. And like the mayor said, we had some very good participants and applicants, and it was some very hard choices we made. We debated for hours after that back and forth, and finally we settled on the ones we settled on, which we'll find out in the next meeting, I guess. And on the 11th, I attended Amelia Amaro Barron retirement with Councilman
Lucio.
Mark. Dang.
It's late.
It's late. With Councilman Lucio, and that was very well attended. And she worked for the City of Chino Police Department. Well, I think she worked in another department before that, but she was here 34 years. Can you imagine being in one place for 34 years?
It's a long time.
And it's a long time, and she had accumulated a lot of awards, some nationwide awards that she got. And then on the 13th, I attended with Councilman Flores' economic development meeting, and we did discuss some developments that will be coming before the council in the near future. That's it. Thank you.
You're welcome. City Manager Ballantyne.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. At our last meeting, the council gave us directive. We identified 4 projects to improve circulation down in the southern part of Chino. Happy to report, due to the good efforts of Dennis Rawls, our transportation manager, one of those items, which is the signal at Bickmore and Meadow House, that location, the traffic signals are up, and they're operating on a time sequence. Eventually, we will, once we pave that section, we will be putting in the sensors. But I'm grateful that Dennis got that completed. We're also, we had a conversation with Caltrans today about the striping on Euclid Avenue. So we're starting to see progress on the items that the council had provided. And then last Friday, I met with in our development services staff in conjunction with the construction team on Kimball Avenue. We met out in the field, and so they're They're grading as we speak. We'll be posting a lot of photos on social media so people can follow along, but we understand that we need to get that done ASAP. And that concludes my reports. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Attorney Galante.
Just one update for the council. I had reported some time ago that on behalf of the Orange County Council of Governments, there was a lawsuit filed against the State Department of HCD, Housing Community Department, and the case has gone to the demur stage. So there was a challenge by HCD to dismiss the case, and the court dismissed it. But the OCOG and all of the 6 member cities that participated believe there are very strong grounds for an appeal, and as do I. And so they are proceeding, and today we filed the appeal on that case. So I will continue to report that to the council.
Fantastic. We wish them luck. Chief Simmons.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. A couple of things I wanted to share with you tonight in our community is we're going to be starting a new program. It's called Etching Catch. So as we know, catalytic converter theft has gone through the roof nationwide, and unfortunately that has impacted our community as well. But we've partnered up with several businesses in the city of Chino where they will etch your catalytic converter with your license plate number on it. So in the event it is stolen, we can get it back to you. We can identify who the victim is, return that, and also as a deterrent, hopefully if they see that there, they'll move on and they'll grab a different one instead. So the businesses people can go to have it etched is A1 Auto Expert, Auto Technique Car Care, The Car Shop, Chino Tire and Muffler, Chino Valley Muffler and Performance, R&R Auto and Marine, and StarTech Foreign Auto Repair. Call those businesses up, make an appointment, and again, they will etch your catalytic converter for free.
Can you post that on the police department Facebook page?
Yep, we'll have that on our social media
Great.
and put it out other ways as well.
Fantastic.
The other thing we're hosting is on February 2nd at 9 a.m. at the police department is a Business Watch seminar. So we're looking, asking local businesses, and we're going to be advertising to them, both small and at corporate level, to come out to this meeting, and we're going to try and educate them on ways where they can keep their employees, merchandise, and property safe from crime. So as we know, retail theft and those kind of things have skyrocketed as well, and so we can help educate people and try and prevent some of that activity. And then lastly, as you mentioned, we've got...
Are you advertising that also on your social media?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And lastly, as you mentioned, we've got the 21st annual Run for Russ on February 5th, and it's the 22nd anniversary of his passing. So you'll be seeing our officers wearing our Russ Miller Memorial badges again. And we just encourage the community to come out. Whether you can do a 6-minute mile or you're a 20-minute mile, it doesn't matter. Come out, bring your family out, and we'd love to have you. Our Kiwanis Club of Chino will again be making pancakes for that event too. So it'll be a great family event, and love to see everybody out there.
Thank you.
That's all I have for today.
Just seems impossible that it was 22 years ago.
Yeah.
I remember that like it was yesterday. Thank you, Wes. And I don't see Chief Williams. Aha, Carlos is here.
Good evening. Good evening, Madam Mayor, Council, and community members. We continue to work towards solutions on the patient transport crisis. The district has an ABH agreement with the current ambulance provider until March 1st. The fire district has responded to 4,413 medical aids and transported 1,848 patients to local emergency rooms, trauma, acute cardiac, and stroke centers. The district personnel staffed 2 additional ambulances with the current workforce and EMTs and paramedics. And these numbers are from July 3rd to December 31st of this year, 2021. The district appreciates the City of Chino's support with longer-term solutions on the transport issue. 2 captains were promoted to battalion chiefs this month. We have Battalion Chief Wayne Fontes and Brian Turner. Currently, we have 6 firefighter paramedic candidates completing their final process of the hiring process. Chief Williams' promotional ceremony date has been postponed to a later date, and more information will follow on that. Upcoming events, February is American Heart Month, and CVFD will have a window display here at the City Hall to promote heart health and CPR. The district looks forward to Chino Police Department's Run for Russ Miller 5K. We will have a booth there and many runners to participate this year. We appreciate CPD's partnership and public service. And to all the community members, thank you for your continued support, and we continually pray for you, especially during troubled times. This concludes my report.
Thank you very much for being here this evening. And with that, we will adjourn to our next regular meeting, which will be held on Tuesday, February 1st, starting at 7 o'clock, and with closed session at 6 if necessary. With that, we are adjourned. I don't know, it's not here.